What's up, BookTube? I'm just gonna apologize straight off the bat for two things. One, the air conditioner is going, but two, it's almost like 11 o'clock and it's still hot as fuck. So, like, there's literally nothing I can do about that. There's going to be humming in the background. I apologize. I'm sure it's not what you want to hear, but if this video is gonna go up today on this lovely Wednesday, then it is what it is. Secondly, this video is going to be a little bit long because it's going to be my September TBR, which a lot of it, like 99.3% is from the library. Some of it is stuff that I already own, and then I want to just give recommendations for the Contemporary-A-Thon because I know that's going on towards the end of the month. A couple other readathons going. I know the Avatar readathon is going. That one is a month-long readathon that's hosted by Mayless over at Mayless Reads and a couple of other people. The Monsterathon, I don't have anything I think is gonna help anybody with that. And then, like I said, Contemporary-A-Thon towards the end of the month because I have some contemporary reads, and some of these I don't ever get to talk about, and some of them I haven't talked about in a while. So it is what it is. So my first recommendation for the Contemporary-A-Thon, or just, books to put back out on your radar. I don't think this one really needs to be on anybody's radar. I feel like people will remember this, but it is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. The newest book in this series, I think it's The Girl Who Died Twice or something. I haven't read any of the Lagerkrantz expansion. I read the original trilogy, and I left it alone. I tried reading The Girl in the Spider's Web, and I didn't really fuck with it. But the original trilogy I think is great. The first book, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, both in my edition and I think the regular, like, paperbacks or the old hardbacks, also have yellow on the cover. This is a sort of, like, mystery crime drama situation. The first book, I believe, can be read as a standalone. I think you don't have to continue on with the series after reading this one. It's pretty much a standalone. The events of this book obviously play into the next one, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and then The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. But I feel like those two are much more dependent on one another than this one is dependent on any of them as a whole. Also, this book is just really great, even as a standalone, so highly recommend. This is an adult novel. There is trigger warnings for, like, abuse and rape, and it's dark. This is the darker one, so it also fit that prompt. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of heavy subject matter in this book, and then also in the other two that I read. We're going to set that over there. Next up, I think, is a sort of, like, controversial choice for the Contemporary-A-Thon, because technically there are, I feel like, some speculative elements. I wouldn't call them sci-fi, and I wouldn't call it like a full-on, like, superhero novel, but that is The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. This is released, I want to say, the latter half of September. I think, according to Goodreads, it's like September 23rd or something, so just in time for the Contemporary-A-Thon. This one deals with our main character, whose name is Caleb, who is an empath, so he feels the emotions of other people. But I feel like that's, like, while it's definitely part of the novel, it's not the most important or critical part. And there's also, I think his name is Alex. I don't know why I want to say his name is Alex, but there is Adam. Adam is our other point of view character who doesn't have any kind of atypical abilities, and it deals with their relationship. It was cute. I really enjoyed it. I'll leave a link to the Goodreads review I did back when I read it, because I'm probably not going to do a video review, but I do recommend it. I did really enjoy this one, and I think a lot of other people will. So even if it doesn't, you don't feel like it counts for your Contemporary-A-Thon TBR, I do think this is one that should be on your radar, and you should pick it up at some point in your life. Next is a book I read, I don't even remember, earlier this year, and it's You Asked for Perfect by Laura Silverman. This deals with our main character, Ariel, and his relationship with his childhood best friend Amir. It's sort of a friends to lovers situation. It covers the stress of your senior year of high school in a way that I didn't find relatable because I didn't have the same sort of pressures or mindset that Ariel does, but I think that it captures like that person, like you know that person, and it captures them in a way that I hadn't really seen explored in a young adult novel, and I really enjoyed it. And it also deals with an interfaith relationship because Ariel is Jewish and Amir is a Muslim character. So liked this one. I can't speak to the Jewish rep or the Muslim rep because I'm neither of those, but I thought that nothing stood out to me as inherently like terrible, and Laura Silverman, I believe, is Jewish. I think they also have an anthology. They edited an anthology focused on Jewish stories. That's also coming out soon. I haven't read that one, but I do recommend this one. There are some leaves and things on the cover, and there's some yellow. So you know, it ticks off some boxes if you're doing the Contemporary-A-Thon. Like it does. It ticks them off, and it's a really good book. So this one. Next up, I have Reality Boy by A.S. King, which again has yellow on the cover. I also feel like this one deals with some pretty hard-hitting topics, like nothing like terribly, like it's not a dark contemporary, it's very much a light romp situation, but there are some serious things that are touched upon over the course of the novel, and I feel like this is the A.S. King book that I don't really see people talk about. To be fair, I don't feel like I see a lot of people talk about A.S. King, and to be fair, this is the only A.S. King book that I've read that I actually really enjoyed and recommend to people. It deals, who was our main character? Oh, Gerald Faust. Oh, Gerald. Gerald Faust, who was on one of those like Super Nanny type shows as a kid, and now at 16 he's kind of dealing with being the kid who was on Super Nanny because he was like terrible, and it deals with that and just like where his life is currently and what the family dynamics are like. And I feel like I need to give this a reread because I haven't read it in a really long time. I want to say 2014 was when I read this, but yeah, I love it. It also has yellow on the cover, so pick it on up. Pick it on up. Next, I have a Jodi Picoult book, and that is The Pact, a love story. And this was my favorite book of 8th grade. Technically, this is an adult novel, so make of that what you will. The main characters in this are young adults. They are teenagers. It focuses on the trial of, what was this boy's name? Chris. Chris has been charged with killing his girlfriend Emily, and that's all I really want to say. The families, Chris and Emily, their family are close. I think they're neighbors. And he's been charged with her murder, and you just kind of have to. I feel like that's literally all I can tell you because this book is going to take you on a trip. I feel like this one has some darker elements. I don't really remember though, because like I said, I read this in 8th grade, which was over a decade ago. So, but I remember I really loved this, and so I might pick this one up again myself. But as you'll see when we get to the TBR section, like, I don't know what I was doing at the library. And of course, I could not let a recommendations video go by without recommending Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, which was my favorite book of like February, and it made me super excited to go to the Y'all West so I could pick up Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi, which is my favorite book of the year. And while this is not out yet, it will be out on September 3rd, so literally 6 days from when you're watching this, if you're watching it when it goes live. Could not be more excited. The hardcover of that book is fucking flawless. I'm telling you this now. Reserve it at your library. You do not have to pre-order. You know, you don't have to drop money that you don't have, but you're going to want to read Permanent Record because it is that book, and it's super fucking pretty, and you're just going to... There's nothing I can say. Mary H.K. Choi is that author to me. She gives me chunky contemporaries, and I appreciate that. But I also want to say this. So, I don't feel like I need to talk about Emergency Contact. everyone has learned about emergency contact. Permanent Record is sort of a coming of age. I would classify it more as a new adult because Pablo was like 20, and I believe Leanna is also in that 20ish age range. Pablo has already been to college. He's dropped out of college. Like, all of the problems he faces in this book are like crushing college debt and like trying to like live his life. So I classify this more as a new adult than a young adult, just me personally. The romance aspect of this, Pablo is a bodega worker who falls in love with like a pop star. The romance elements of that are very like, they're there, but they're not like the most important element of the story. And so I feel like if by some reason you pick up Permanent Record and you want that romancy element that but you just don't get it. Like, I feel like it's there. A lot of these tabs, you can't really tell the color. There we go. All of like the greenish tabs are relationship moments. So like there's a fair few, they're obviously overwhelmed by the yellow, which were moments where Pablo was saying things and I was like, you know what, bitch, you're right. I agree with that. But the green ones are like relationship moments. Like, they're there. But if you need more of them and you kind of want that average guy pop star situation, I will recommend Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu, which came out earlier this year, which focuses on a K-pop star who falls in a K-pop star and an average Joe reporter, paparazzi, more paparazzi than reporter. And this is a more of your traditional young adult romance novel. It's also shorter. I think this one's just over 300 pages. Yes, it's like 320 pages. And this one also has that like lovely time crunch element where the story takes place over like a week or so, and then at the end there's like a nice little conclusion. And this one is much more of your standard novel that takes place over the course of like a couple of months or so. So like, yeah, they're not the same. I don't want people to compare these. They offer similar premises, but they are wildly different, and I think that you can enjoy both of them. Or if you really just need, one or the other, live your best life. I appreciate both of them. They're also both written by Asian authors, so you get some diversity in your life. You get to read some alternate perspectives. And yeah, so those are all of the books that I have to recommend. 1 second, let me actually grab them again and like hold them up and be a good booktuber. Here are all of the recommendations that I have for your contemporary living situation. Hopefully you pick up a couple of these. Hopefully you like them as much as I do. Yeah, that's it. Now we're gonna move on to my TBR, which isn't even all of the books that I have on hold at the library. This is just, I feel like the word is like a quorum, like a plurality of the books that I have on hold at the library. But we're just gonna wait a second so I can pull up the list of the other ones so I know when to pop up the picture. One moment. Okay, so let's just get into it. The first 4, I believe, are all of the books that I already own that are mine, and then everything else is going to be from the library. So first up, I have Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I am hoping to get this finished before September. I started reading this a couple weeks ago, like middle of August, and I'm currently on page 172. This is a romance novel. I feel like everybody and their mother's heard of it at this point because Melanie was reading it, Madeline was reading it, Chelsea was reading it. Like, I think everybody read it for Smut-A-Thon, like everybody. So this one's definitely pretty smutty. It's definitely there, and we're living with it. We're living with it. But I do want to hopefully get this done. If I can finish The Secret History before August is over, then this will be right up next, and I'll be able to get through the last just over half that I have to go. Next, I have Please Don't Fall, Please Don't Fall. This summer I turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I just really like this cover. I really liked To All the Boys I Loved Before. I also have another book by Jenny Han in here, and if I was smart, it would have been closer together, but again, I don't really know the premise of this one. I just know that I appreciated Jenny Han's writing style. I know that it was easy to fly through, and I'm a sucker for the redesigned cover. So yeah, I was good though, and I only bought the first one because I definitely wanted to buy all three. Next, I have one of two classics, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This one I picked up because it was the Barnes & Noble book haul thing. There was a 50% off, so this is like $5. So I went with this edition and not the Pretty Collector's Edition. That's $25, even though I really like the Pretty Collector's Edition. And then I think this is the only graphic novel, and that is Check Please Book 1 Hockey by Ngozi Akatsu? Someone? Yeah, this is a graphic novel that I believe, I think it's queer, but I honestly don't know. I just assumed. I assumed it was queer because it looked too cute to be straight. That was pretty much the thought process. Next, I have Emma by Jane Austen because I am determined to have Emma be the first Austen that I complete, because Clueless, with, you know, everyone's favorite Alicia Silverstone, was based on Emma, and so I feel like because I know that I love Clueless, then like this seems like the best place to start. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to read this book and how many times I haven't gotten past chapter 1. So I'm hoping that this physical copy will be the one that does it for me, because it's really not that long. This copy is like 400 pages. Okay, I guess 400 pages is really long, but this is the one I'm going with. I'm hoping that I get through it, but would be surprised if I don't. I don't know, one second. I don't know why I'm throwing these books down there, because they definitely were meant to be stacked here. One moment. Okay, back. This is quickly going to like become a mess, but we're gonna have them stacked over there anyway. Next, I have Pudding by Julie Murphy, which is the companion to Dumplin', which I was not a fan of Dumplin', but after I watched the Netflix movie, I was like, you know what, the movie was cute, let me see where this goes, because Netflix should adapt the sequel. And I think I was a real big fan of the actress that they had playing the other perspective. What is her name? Callie Reyes. I appreciated the actress who played Callie Reyes, and I think the actress who played Millie was also really great. Like that, like I didn't really care about Millie and Dumplin', but when I watched the Netflix movie, I was like, you know what, Millie, you're a great character. So I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna hope that I like it more than I like Dumplin'. But I thought that Dumplin' was actually a really bad book, and then Netflix made a much better adaptation. So, unpopular opinion, I guess. I actually don't even know, because I haven't actually watched anybody talk about Dumplin'. Next, I have Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. I kind of felt silly grabbing this one after I watched Melanie's review, because I believe that Melanie didn't really appreciate this book, but I'm going to go with it. It's here. I got it. It's kind of short. I'm hoping I can just whiz through it. I do have Royals or Prince Charming on hold, so that'll be, I guess I can just throw it up now. I have that one on hold. They're not directly sequels, but this one is a companion to that, so I'm probably going to read that one and then read this one and hope that I'll at least know what I'm getting into when I get to this one. I don't know. Next, oh, this one was also a female-female romance, and I don't read a lot of female-female romance at all, so that was another reason that I picked this one up. But, yeah, that's what this was. Next, I have... I'm just going to grab all of these at the same time, because I was smart and I put these guys next to each other. Okay. Sorry about that, but I have Almost Like Being in Love, Last Days of Summer, and My Most Excellent Year, all by Steve Kluger. I believe all of these have a queer romance element to them. Last Days of Summer, I believe, is like historical fiction, and there's like a baseball player and a mentoree relationship with like someone younger, and like hard life situation. And Last Days of Being in Love is a romance between a high school jock and a nerd. But obviously things aren't good. Like, things fall apart. I don't know what's gonna happen. And then My Most Excellent Year, I believe, is another one where there's like a romantic relationship. But I think the focus is a heterosexual couple, and like the friend is gay. I don't know. When I searched gay fiction in my library, these came up, and I want to say Last Days of Summer was on like a couple of lists on the Goodreads or somewhere, and it sounded interesting, and I was like, you know what, Steve Kluger, I'm just going to grab all of your books. So I grabbed all of his books. I also think that Last Days of Summer was turned into a musical. I don't think it went to Broadway or anything, but I do believe it's a musical. So there was also that. I should not have checked out all three, but we're gonna check it out. Hopefully, I appreciate Steve Kluger's writing, and if I don't, well, I don't think these are very in demand because there was no wait for them. Next is the other Jenny Han book, and that is Burn for Burn, which I started to listen to after I finished the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy, and I was actually really enjoying the audio of this, but I figured that I might be able to fly through the physical edition, and I think that's pretty accurate because this is like 1.5 line spacing with already pretty massive words. So it's under 400 pages. So I'm hoping I can just fly through this and go from there. I was tempted to get the rest of the trilogy, so Burn for Burn and Ashes to Ashes, but yeah, I think I think there's like a murder in this. I don't think it's actually a murder, but there's some kind of like things that happen, and these three unlikely people come together. I don't know. It's told from three perspectives. I do remember that much, and I thought that all three girls had a really definite point of view, which I thought was really great, because you don't always get that, and you always want it. Next, I have We Contain Multitudes, which I honestly don't know anything about other than it's queer. Came out earlier this year, and I remember being, at the time it was coming out, I remember looking at the synopsis and really being like, I want to read that, and then I just never read it, and so here it is. All of the books that I'm mentioning in this video, by the way, are going to be linked in the description with like a Goodreads link, so like you can find an actual synopsis. I'm not doing y'all dirty like that. Next, I have Small Spaces by Catherine Arden, which I never would have thought to read if Melanie hadn't talked about reading it. So I have it, and it's also short. It's also, I believe, a middle grade novel, and I kind of wanted to have some middle grade reads in here because I wanted things that would be easier to get through, or at least like make me think it'd be easier to get through. That's not always the case, but you hope that it is. The first up among those is The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. Again, it's short. Again, when I read it, I believe I would call it middle grade, but now it gets shelved in the YA section. I think the upper middle grade section, next to your Harry Potters and your Lightning Thieves and your Pendragons and your Charlie Bones, like that kind of YA. But I remember reading the first couple of these, and I think it got to like 4, maybe 3, and I really enjoyed them when I was a kid, and allegedly this is coming back on Disney Plus as a third movie. I haven't seen any of the trades reporting that. I've only seen tweets, so like I don't really believe it, but I also just want to actually get through the series and read it and see what happens in the whole thing, because like I said, I only read like the first 3 and they were all pretty good, so looking forward to that. Then I have Three Wishes by Leanne Moriarty. Next, I have Hello Girls by Brittany Cavallaro and Emily Henry. I have another adult novel, but I think this one also has young adult protagonists, at least for some of it. Again, I'm not very sure what was going on. Again, it was a book that was like when it was released as an ARC earlier this year. I read synopsises, I entered some Goodreads giveaways, I was interested in it, but I didn't be like, let me memorize the synopsis, and that is Trust Exercise by Susan Choi. Next, I have, this one I believe is a sort of like murder mystery thriller, and that is The Au Pair by Emma Rue. I don't know. This one deals with a set of twins, whose mother died, I think the day that they were born. She was found at the bottom of a cliff, and they were told that their mother committed suicide, but now, the twins are adults, and she sees a picture of her as an infant, and her mom is holding her, but there isn't a twin. There's just one baby, and so I guess there's all kinds of questions, like, did my mom kill herself? Am I really a twin? Who is this person? All of those lovely things. This is one that I just happened to find as I was browsing the stacks at the library, and I was like, you know what? It's contemporary. It can go in my contemporary September haul. And then it did. It's also still on shelves at Barnes & Noble, so I feel like that means that it's selling. Somebody's buying it. Somebody liked it. I haven't looked at Goodreads, but it's there. Next, I have the most controversial book on this TBR, at least for me personally, and that's Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, technically this month in August, no, last month in July, the audiobook came in for me, and the ebook came in, because apparently I had them on hold, and I didn't suspend them, and I didn't read them, because I was like, I'm not in the headspace to pick up a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Now, you'll remember, if you watch my reading vlog update on Seven Husbands, I thought that if I read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book about white people, which this one is, then I would appreciate it. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping I can like this. If I do like it, I might be a little mad because I didn't read it before I went to the Taylor Jenkins Reid signing with Casey McQuiston, because if I like it, I could have had a signed copy, and then I'll hate the Seven Husbands even more because it put me away from having a signed copy of a book that I liked. But we're doing it, maybe, if I get to it. No promises, but I have it, and it's not going back early. But it will have to be one of the ones that I get to earlier in the month, I feel, because I don't think I'll be able to renew this one. But we'll see. Next, I have the other Leanne Moriarty book that I checked out, and that is this really damaged copy of The Hypnotist Love Story, and I don't really appreciate they gave me this damaged copy because I always feel like I'm going to be the person that gets charged for it. We're entering the home stretch, guys. We're almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Next, I have Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribby. I just know I butchered this man's name, and I apologize. But, this one, I want to say deals with, this is the one who, our main character, Jay, is, his senior year of high school, and then his cousin in the Philippines is murdered, and he goes to the Philippines to kind of get to the bottom of that, and shenanigans ensue. Because if shenanigans didn't ensue, we wouldn't have a book. Next, I have another historical set novel, and that is Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemian. Next, I have Opposite of Always by Jason A. Reynolds. This was on my Blackathon TBR, where I had it checked out in that time. Didn't get to it. This is a contemporary romance situation that has time travel elements. The time travel elements, not gonna lie, make me very nervous. I hope that they're better implemented and better done than Again But Better. But, that is what it is. The Devouring Grave by Christine Lynn Hermine. Again, this one kind of like, is it really contemporary? Is it not contemporary? I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I do know this has more like speculative elements. Next, I have the last middle grade novel on my list, and that is Pieces and Players by Blue Ballet. Next, I have Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Everybody has talked about this book at some point. They know what it is. I'm not going to talk about it. There's a link in the description. And then the last book that was available in time for me to film this video, so I don't have to put a picture up, is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. The books that I have on hold that are on their way to my local branch that haven't made it there yet are, if this would load, okay, American Royals by Catherine McGee, I want to say. Next, I have Deposing Nathan by Zach Smedley. Next, I have Here Lies Daniel Tate by, I forget the author. All I have here is the last name Terrell, so sorry, but there's a picture probably here, and you can read it for yourself. Next is The Last Anniversary, also by Leanne Moriarty. Then Pulp by last name Tally. And so that's everything that I have on hold that hasn't gotten to me yet. And coupled with all of these, and obviously I'm not going to get to everything that I've checked out. I've come to that with, I'm okay with that. So that's what this video was. I hope that you enjoyed your time here with me, because I enjoyed being here with all of you. And that's all I have to say, really. And I'll see you again next week with another video. But until then, bye!